Our top story now, the BJP Legislative Party meeting will take place this morning to elect a successor of Trivendra Singh Rawat. This will be at 10 a.m. today. According to sources, Uttarakhand BJP MLA Dhan Singh Rawat is one of the front runners for the position. Now, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat resigned on Tuesday as the state's ruling BJP opted for course correction a year before polls amid growing resentment in the ranks. His exit was certain after his trip to Delhi, where he had met with the BJP leadership. Sanket Upadhyay reports.
Chief Minister was sacked. Let's just say it in as many words. Why did that happen? Because there was resentment against Rawat. This is BJP's big Uttarakhand fix. There is a whole analysis as to why this is going to happen or not happen. The point is, the BJP looks at this as an attempt to control perception damage in the state. Now, what exactly is that damage? Trivendra Singh Rawat is being seen among his MLAs as a misfit, that he is a misfit as far as being the Chief Minister of that state is concerned. MLAs even complained against Rawat's style of functioning as well as his performance. There are also allegations against him of corruption. Could this be an attempt to mitigate that corruption charge? Before we go any further, let's quickly listen in to what Trivendra Singh Rawat said today once he announced his resignation.
विचार किया और संयुक्त रूप से सामूहिक रूप से ये निर्णय लिया कि मुझे अब किसी और को ये मौका देना चाहिए.
But you must have heard about other things, but what exactly is this corruption charge? So there are corruption allegations against Mr. Trivendra Rawat during his term as in charge of Jharkhand. So what exactly happened there? There was allegation that money was deposited in Rawat's associate account for a posting in Jharkhand, much before he actually became the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. Now, the Uttarakhand High Court had ordered the CBI to register an FIR in this case. Mr. Rawat moved the Supreme Court and got a stay order on this High Court order. So that's where this case stands. Could this have been the reason why this decision has been taken? Or could this have been one of the many reasons? Remember, the MLAs are not upset about this. The MLAs are upset about the style of functioning. Now, what exactly is the thought process that has gone out, and what could be the possible ramifications on your screen right now? This decision could be seen as a vote of no confidence against the BJP's own government. Now, this is an allegation by the opposition. The Congress calls this an admission of the failure of the Bharatiya Janata Party. This is also the first big decision of a Modi-appointed Chief Minister being removed. Remember, Narendra Modi is not known as someone who usually goes back on a decision that he has taken. That's the brand of politics. Otherwise, the farm laws would have been reversed by now. The BJP does not want to, and this is a thinking, the BJP does not want to repeat the Jharkhand mistake. Remember, in the case of Mr. Raghuvar Das, there was great resentment against him, that remove him, MLAs were upset with him. He was not replaced despite the MLA resentment, and the result is there for everyone to see. So is some amount of political pragmatism being shown by the Bharatiya Janata Party in taking a decision well in time? As they say, a stitch in time saves 9. So Uttarakhand Chief Minister fix, and this is very important to understand, no Chief Minister has completed a full term in Uttarakhand, and when they have been replaced by another Chief Minister, the incumbents have never come back to power. That is the Uttarakhand fix. So can this decision that has been taken by the Bharatiya Janata Party propel the BJP to power again, or will the curse of Uttarakhand continue where the incumbents will not come back to power?
And when asked why he was removed, Trivendra Singh Rawat said, "You'll have to go to Delhi to find out."
नहीं, देखिए ऐसा है, मैंने कहा कि ये सामूहिक निर्णय होता है और इसका बहुत अच्छा जवाब आपको दिल्ली जाना पड़ेगा उसके लिए. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Well, let's now focus on West Bengal, and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will be filing her nomination papers for the Nandigram seat today. The Nandigram election, remember, is being termed as the mother of all contests in this election in the state, as Banerjee is pitted against her one-time aide, a BJP candidate Subhendu Adhikari, who's said to be the strongman of this particular area. Nandigram, the cradle of the anti-land acquisition movement that catapulted Banerjee to power in 2011, will go to the polls on the 1st of April. Now, on Tuesday, Mamata Banerjee took on the BJP's Hindutva card, saying in her rally that our Hinduism teaches us to love everyone. She visited a temple and a mazar in Nandigram, also served tea to everyone at a tea stall. Monideepa Banerjee reports.
Back to where it all began in a way for Mamata Banerjee, to Nandigram, the battlefield of 2007 that catapulted her to the Chief Minister's chair. In a constituency that has nearly 30% minority vote, Mamata Banerjee took the bull by the horns, challenging the charge of appeasement by reciting the Chandi Path at length.
জয়ন্তী মঙ্গলা কালী ভদ্রকালী কপালিনী দুর্গা শিবা ক্ষমা ধাত্রী সাহা সদা নমস্তুতে.
Her first stop after the rally was a temple, where she did Chandi Puja as well.
আমিও হিন্দু ঘরের মেয়ে, আমার সাথে হিন্দু কার্ড খেলতে যাবেন না। আমার সাথে হিন্দু কার্ড খেলতে গেলে আগে বলুন আপনি নিজে ভালো হিন্দু কিনা।
Her BJP rival for Nandigram, former ally, now foe, Subhendu Adhikari, has labelled her outsider and asked Nandigram to vote Bhumiputra. Mamata demolished that charge.
তাহলে তো বাংলা আমার মুখ্যমন্ত্রীটা হওয়া উচিত ছিল না। বহিরাগত মুখ্যমন্ত্রী হতে পারে কখনো? তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস।
On the ground, emotional support for Mamata. Some anger at Subhendu, anger also at Trinamool workers who betrayed all that Mamata Banerjee stands for.
এখানে এই নন্দীগ্রামের যা অবস্থা, সিসি অধিকারীর বংশ যদি উঠে আসে, মমতা দিদিকে হারাতে পারে। একটা ভোটে হলেও আমরা জিতাবো।
কিন্তু দিদিমণি বহিরাগত, কিন্তু দিদিমণি এখন জনপ্রিয়তা নেই, এখন ভারতের জনপ্রিয়তা আছে এখানে।
Mamata has rented 2 rooms in this house in Nandigram's Bortola area for a year. She files her nomination Wednesday, Subhendu on Friday, and that's when the knives will be out. Mamata making the most of her first mover advantage.
খেলা হবে, খেলা হবে, দেখা হবে, দেখা হবে, জেতা হবে, জেতা হবে।
The Khela Hobe slogan is back. Mamata Banerjee herself raising it at this rally here. The response of the people huge. April 1, that's when the votes will be cast here. A big day for Bengal. In Nandigram with Habib Ali, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Now, during her rally yesterday, Mamata Banerjee recounted what happened at the peak of the Nandigram protest in 2007 and even mentioned NDTV's Monideepa Banerjee, who was there.
আমি যখন চণ্ডীপুরে এলাম, আমার গাড়ি আবার আটকে দিল। চণ্ডীপুরে মা মাসি তুলে গালাগালি দিচ্ছে। পেশের যারা ছাড়া ছিলেন এখানে, আমি মনিদীপাদের দেখতে পাচ্ছি, ওরা সেদিন সকলে সেখানে ছিল। ঠিক চণ্ডীপুরের অপোজিটে একটা মাঠ ছিল, সেই মাঠে পেশের গাড়িগুলোকে আটকে দেওয়া হয়েছিল, তারাও যাতে আসতে না পারে। তারপরে একটু একটু করে ঝগড়া করতে করতে তারপরে নন্দীগ্রামে এসে আমি পৌঁছেছিলাম।
Now, while the poll slogan of the Trinamool Congress is Bangla Nijar Meke Chai, the slogan that's become the anthem of the Bengal election is Khele Hobe, a game on. Meet the 24-year-old Debangshu Bhattacharya, who came up with that slogan, an engineering student. He is also a spokesperson and a general secretary of the Trinamool Youth Congress.
তাহলে 1 এপ্রিল খেলা হবে, খেলা হবে,
They say slogans can make or break an election for a political party. For the BJP, Jai Shri Ram is what they've been going with in West Bengal. Trinamool has countered with Khela Hobe, and it seems to be working for the party. But this was a slogan that the writer says was done in just 20 minutes. Devanshu joins me now. देवांशु, आपका जो ये गाना है, जो स्लोगन है खेला होबे, जिसमें इतने हर जगह बजते हैं, आजकल तो डीजे म्यूजिक के साथ भी बजते हैं, 20 मिनट में आपने लिखा, आप बता रहे थे?
हाँ, एक्चुअली ये नॉर्थ बंगाल के दौरे के दौरान लिखा गया है। इसके पहले ममता दी एक बार जो बंगाल में हिट हुआ था 2019 का लोकसभा चुनाव में, वो भी नॉर्थ बंगाल में ही लिखा गया था, तो वो थोड़ा लकी जगह मेरे लिए है। तो उधर भी जाने के बाद जो टीएमसीबी का सपोर्टर्स है, वो लोग ने बोले एक स्लोगन फिर से कर लीजिए। पिछले दिन रात को बोला, अगले दिन का अरेंजमेंट हुआ, तब भी लिखा नहीं था क्योंकि 2-3 प्रोग्राम में थोड़ा हेक्टिक शेड्यूल था, तो लिखा नहीं हुआ था। तो उसके बाद वो मैदान पर बैठ कर उस कॉलेज के सामने ही लिखा गया। उसके बाद शूट किया गया। शूट करने के बाद अगले दिन 6 जनवरी को शूट किया, 7 जनवरी को अपलोड किया, और अभी तक तो उसको नियर अबाउट 50 लाख लोग देख चुके हैं, करीब 50 लाख के ऊपर लोग। और
तो मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि आप बता रहे थे जैसे मुझे कि जय श्री राम का एक काउंटर चाहिए था बंगाल में, जय श्री राम का काउंटर ये खेला होबे है?
नहीं, देखिए, पर्सनली मुझे ये लगता था कि एक एपॉलिटिकल ऐसा स्लोगन होना चाहिए जो लोग जब उच्चारण करेंगे वो तो डायरेक्टली टीएमसी या ममता बनर्जी का नाम नहीं ले रहे, लेकिन पब्लिक को ऐसे लगेगा कि देयर इज सम एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ तृणमूल कांग्रेस। तो इस सोच के साथ मैंने बनाया, तो खेला होबे इन सब के साथ फिट हो गया कि क्योंकि अभी जो शादी का जो प्रोग्राम है उनमें भी बज रहा है, सरस्वती पूजा का जो विसर्जन है उसमें भी ये बज रहा है, और सबसे बड़ी बात है बीजेपी का लोग डर रहे हैं। शुभेंदु अधिकारी से लेकर जो बड़े बड़े लोग, वो स्टेज से एक 25 साल के लड़के को अटैक कर रहा है। इसमें इसके जो शुभेंदु अधिकारी मान लीजिए दीदी को अटैक करता था, अभिषेक दा के जैसे बड़े लीडर को, अभी 25 साल के लड़के को अटैक करता है ये नाम ले लेकर। तो ये जो बौखलाहट है बीजेपी में खेला होबे लेकर, क्योंकि उनको पता चला, वो ये समझ सके कि यूथ जो है बंगाल का वो खेला होबे को लेकर पागल हो चुके हैं। और सिर्फ यूथ नहीं, 8 साल के लड़के से 80 साल के उम्रदार लोग तक सब खेला होबे बोल रहे हैं। मान लीजिए मुझको अगर रास्ते पर कोई लोग देखता है, आइडेंटिफाई कर सकता है, तो मेरे नाम से नहीं पुकारता, भाई खेला होबे। तो ये बीजेपी को कहीं पर डरा रहा है।
जैसे कि जय श्री राम भी कोई पार्टी का कोई हक नहीं हो बन सकता, तो खेला होबे में भी आप बता रहे हैं कि वो बता देता है कौन से पार्टी का स्लोगन है, लेकिन आप नहीं कह सकते कि सिर्फ एक पार्टी का।
एब्सोल्युटली, लेकिन डिफरेंस एक ही है। बीजेपी का जो जय श्री राम है, बीजेपी वाला जय श्री राम एक्चुअली विच इज जय श्री नाथुराम, उसमें कहीं पर एक धर्म का कनेक्शन है, कहीं पर एक बांटने वाला है, लेकिन खेल कभी बांटता नहीं, खेल सबको जोड़ता है। क्यों मैंने बताया खेला होबे? बंगाल में 2 सबसे बड़े क्लब है जो आपके दर्शक है उनको पता है, ईस्ट बंगाल, मोहन बागान। मान लीजिए मेरे घर में ही 2,
और बंगाल में फुटबॉल प्रेमी तो है
एकदम, फुटबॉल क्रिकेट सब खेल के लिए बंगाल पागल है। ये लोग लूडो भी खेलते हैं, चेस भी खेलते हैं, क्रिकेट भी खेलते हैं, फुटबॉल भी खेलते हैं। मान लीजिए ईस्ट बंगाल और मोहन बागान का सपोर्टर मेरे ही घर में है, वो जब स्टेडियम में जाएंगे तो एक ईस्ट बंगाल, एक मोहन बागान, एंड आई एम हिज ऑपोजिशन। लेकिन स्टेज जो प्रोग्राम से निकलने के बाद, खेला के बाद, स्टेडियम से निकलने के बाद एक साथ खड़े होकर पानी पूरी खाते हैं हम लोग। तो बीजेपी का जो स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट है वो राजनीति को मारना काटना, वो बोलते हैं अनाथ कर देंगे, वो कहते हैं शमशान भेज देंगे। इससे अगर हम यूथ जो टीएमसी का, वो अगर चाहे कि राजनीति एक खेल की तरह होगा जहां पर एक स्पोर्ट्स का स्पिरिट होगा, तो उससे बीजेपी में इतना बौखलाहट की मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा।
With that, time for a break. On the other side, the latest from Haryana, where the government will face a no confidence motion today. Welcome back. The Haryana government is facing a no-confidence motion in the assembly today. The government is facing heat after months of farmer protests. Even BJP ally JJP's MLAs are speaking up. NDTV's Ghazali reports.
Ahead of the no-confidence motion to be moved by the Congress in the Haryana Assembly tomorrow, the ruling BJP-JJP coalition is facing the heat. After having downplayed the 6 months long farmers' agitation, the MLAs of alliance partner JJP are now speaking up, including a close associate of Deputy Chief Minister Dushyant Chautala.
मैं भी एक किसान के घर में पैदा हुआ हूं, मुझे भी इस बात की पीड़ा है। आज हम जब गांव में निकलते हैं तो फोन आते हैं, भाई साहब गांव में मत आना। हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री से अपील करना चाहूंगा कि यह गंभीर मुद्दा है, बड़े दिल के साथ इसको किसी भी तरीके से निपटाया जाए, ये हमारे प्रदेश और देश के हित में नहीं।
Across the state, Sanyukt Kisan Morcha घेराउड the residences of JJP MLAs and appealed people to force their MLAs to support the no confidence motion.
जे हमारे से खिलाफ वोटिंग करेगा, सरकार को वोटिंग करेगा, तो हमारा नहीं, हम गांवों में नहीं घुसने देंगे।
Haryana Assembly has current strength of 88, with 40 MLAs belonging to the BJP, 10 to its ally JJP and 1 MLA to the Haryana Lok Hit Party. 7 MLAs are independents, with 5 of them, including Power Minister Ranjit Singh Chautala, support the ruling combine. Congress has 30 MLAs. Sensing that its MLAs are in a fix, JJP issued a whip asking the party legislators to ensure that they remain present and vote in favor of government on Wednesday.
So a big day tomorrow for the Haryana government, as Congress will be moving a no confidence motion. But all eyes will be on those MLAs, including some independent MLAs and from JJP, who had voiced their concern in favor of farmers against the farm laws. Will they really walk the talk? In Chandigarh, Mohammad Ghazali for NDTV.
With that, time for a break. On the other side, we'll focus on battleground Tamil Nadu. Stay with us. Welcome back. The latest on Tamil Nadu now. In a setback to the AIADMK BJP combine, actor Vijay Kant's DMDK walked out of the alliance ahead of the state polls next month. This after 3 rounds of discussions. The AIADMK refused to allot the numbers that were sought, is what the party said. Meanwhile, Kamal Hassan and Dinakaran are both looking at a tie-up.
சார், கழகங்களோட கூட்டணி இல்லைன்னு ஏற்கனவே சொல்லிருந்தீங்க. ஆனால் தேமுதிகவுடன் தற்போது பேச்சுவார்த்தை நடத்தப்பட இருக்கு. தேமுதிகவும் கழகம் தானே, இதுக்கான காரணம் என்ன?
நடந்து முடிந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம் உங்களுக்கு அந்த பதிலை சொல்லுகிறேன். நடக்கும் வரை அது நடந்ததாக அர்த்தம் கொள்ளக்கூடாது நீங்கள்.
And staying with Tamil Nadu, both DMK and AIADMK are trying to woo the housewives in the state, promising them monthly payments. But what do the housewives think about these poll promises? Sam Daniel finds out.
First, it was DMK chief M.K. Stalin who promised a monthly 1,000 rupee payment to housewives if elected.
குடும்ப தலைவிகள் அனைவருக்கும் மாதந்தோறும் 1000 ரூபாய் உரிமை தொகை வழங்கவிருக்கிறோம். ரேஷன் கடைகளில் உணவுப் பொருட்களை பெறும் அனைத்து குடும்பங்களும் இதனால் பயனடையும்.
The chief minister, who raised to 1,500 rupees and offered free 6 LPG cylinders every year as well, claimed it was his party's idea, which got leaked to the DMK.
சமூகத்தில் பொருளாதார சமநிலை ஏற்படுத்தும் விதமாக குடும்பத்திற்கு மாதந்தோறும் 1500 ரூபாய் குடும்ப தலைவிடம் வழங்கப்படும் என்பதை மகிழ்ச்சியுடன் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன்.
அதை ஞாபகம் வைத்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள் என்று சொல்லி
Kamal Hassan too claimed the DMK of lifting his poll promise made several weeks ago.
Allegedly, while you clearly know that they plagiarized it. Right or wrong, an idea is an idea, but at least let them acknowledge they copied it from us.
Many like Pravina, living in a dilapidated place, welcome the idea.
Should it be the government that pays the housewife, or should it be the husband and the adult members of the family who benefit from that labor? That said, is it not a way for the political parties to avoid the real serious issue of job generation? What if all these women were to enter the employment market?
However, some look at these promises differently. Battle in Tamil Nadu. Kamal Hassan trying to break new ground. The ruling AIADMK trying for a third term. And out of power for 10 years, the DMK pushing hard to capture power. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel, for NDTV.
News now from Karnataka, and Karnataka police has ordered channels to comply with programming code and said that penal action will be taken against channels that are seen violating this code. Earlier we spoke to Arvind for more details.
The Bangalore top cop, the Bangalore Commissioner of Police, citing a recent order from the Karnataka High Court, has issued an order citing the Cable Television Network Act and also Cable Television Network Rules of 1994, saying that all the channels should strictly conform with the programming code. And he also said that if at all if any channel violates any of the programming code, then a penal action will be taken against those channels under Section 16 of the Cable Television Network Act. According to that particular provision of the Act, if any channel violates programming code, then the concerned authority, that is the Commissioner of Police in this particular case, can file a case against that particular channel, and the punishment varies from 1 year to even 5 years. So the order that has been issued by the Commissioner of Police, that is Kamal Pant, says that all the channels should prohibit any broadcast that violates the programming code under the Cable Television Network Act. So this particular order from the Commissioner of Police, though it cites the Karnataka High Court order, this comes at a very important time where recently we saw some local channels in Karnataka reporting on an alleged CD involving a Karnataka minister, and that led to the Karnataka minister also resigning from the ministership. And also we also saw 6 other ministers in the cabinet of Yediyurappa, Chief Minister Yediyurappa, also moving the local court seeking an injunction restrainment order against the local channels from reporting any of the alleged CD. So this comes at a very important time. Now the Karnataka Police, the Bangalore Police Commissioner, also citing the Karnataka High Court, has issued a prohibitory order asking all channels to strictly conform with the programming code.
News now from Uttar Pradesh, and a court in Muzaffarnagar has accepted a 2017 closure report filed by the UP Police Special Investigation Team against controversial BJP MLA Sangeet Som in a case where an inflammatory video was uploaded on social media ahead of the 2013 communal riots in the area. More than 60 people were killed and 40,000 displaced during the riots in Muzaffarnagar and adjoining areas. Let's go across to NDTV's Alok Pandey for more on this. And Alok, this was after the original complainant in the case, Inspector Subodh Kumar Singh, did not appear despite summons.
Well, yes, and that is the striking coincidence, Gaji. I am sure you and our viewers both remember the case of Inspector Subodh Kumar Singh, who is on our screen right now. That policeman, he was posted in 2018 in neighboring Bulandshahr, and he died in a riot-like situation there after he was attacked by a mob when he had gone to restore calm in an area after violence had erupted there over rumors of illegal cow slaughter. That was a particularly ghastly incident. I remember it very well because I covered it in detail. And how he was chased, there were allegations that his fingers were chopped off, he was shot in the head, his body was found right next to his official police vehicle. So it's a coincidence that this is the same cop who filed that 2013 case. He must have been posted in Muzaffarnagar then. And in its order, Gaji, the court notes that after the closure report was filed in 2017, so the closure report by the police came to court in 2017, and the judge notes in the order that the court then registered that closure report and then summoned Inspector Singh to appear before the court for his statement in the case. And then it notes that, despite repeated notices, Inspector Singh did not appear, and then someone else on behalf of him appeared and told the court that Inspector Singh had died in that Bulandshahr incident. And now the court, of course, says that, it is accepting the closure report and has ordered a closure of the case. The original incident involving Som was a case where he and many others were accused of liking or sharing a video that went around in social media 2 days after 2 youths were killed in a retaliatory murder case in Muzaffarnagar. And right. It was a video that incited a lot of passions in the area. And that is what eventually also led to the kind of violence that we saw in Muzaffarnagar in 2013. But the police in its closure report said that they could not find any evidence against Som and the others who were named in that FIR, and that is why they wanted the case to be closed. The court has said that the main complainant could not come forward to record his statement, and that the police says that there were no other evidence found, and that is why the case is being closed now.
All right, so that case against the controversial leader Sangeet Som has been dropped. Now, the latest in the Ambani security scare case, where a Scorpio car was found abandoned outside the residence of billionaire Mukesh Ambani with gelatin explosives inside. Now, a CCTV grab has emerged showing a suspect in a PPE suit. This is a possible suspect who the agencies believe may have parked the explosive-laden SUV near the Ambani residence in Mumbai. Meanwhile, there's also a political fight over the mysterious death in the case.
BJP MLAs shouting slogans in the State Assembly today against the Home Minister over the mysterious death of Mansukh Hiren, the owner of a Scorpio car, which was found abandoned outside the residence of billionaire Mukesh Ambani with gelatin of explosives inside. Mansukh Hiren's wife has now filed a police FIR which makes sensational charges against senior police officer Sachin Vaze, the officer who was investigating the case before it was transferred to the ATS. Her statement says, Officer Sachin Vaze was known to my husband. In November 2020, my husband gave a car to Vaze. The car was handed back to us on February 5th, 2021. My husband informed that there was steering issue. On 17 February, my husband left for Mumbai in the same car. After Mulund Toll Plaza, he felt steering was hard. My husband parked the car by the roadside. On 18 February, person from our shop found car was missing. My husband filed complaint in Vikhroli on 18 February. On 25th February, ATS officer called my husband downstairs. Officer showed him photo of a car. He identified it. On 26th and 27th February, my husband went to crime branch with Vaze. On 28th February, my husband recorded statement. Copy has Vaze's sign. On 3rd March, he said Vaze wanted him to get arrested. On 4th March, he said he was going to meet a cop for opinion. He can't die by drowning as he is a good swimmer.
तुम्ही जर त्यांच्यावर कारवाई न करता या ठिकाणी आपण असं सांगता की आम्ही चौकशी करू, याचा अर्थ त्यांना पुरावे नष्ट करण्याची मुभा तुम्ही देता. तुम्ही मुभा देतात आणि माननीय मंत्री महोदय, हा खरा चेहरा दिसतोय, खरा चेहरा की ज्यावेळी इतके सगळे पुरावे समोर आल्यानंतर देखील केवळ एका विशिष्ट पक्षामध्ये त्यांनी प्रवेश केला होता म्हणून त्यांना वाचवण्याचा प्रयत्न अध्यक्ष महोदय हा पूर्णपणे चूक आहे.
तपास एटीएस करते की त्या एटीएसच्या ग्रुपमध्ये सचिन वजे नाही आहे. या तपासाशी त्याचा काही संबंध सध्या नाही आहे. त्याच्यामुळे तपास एटीएसच्या माध्यमातून निपक्षपाती करू.
As more and more details are emerging out of this case, it has once again put pressure on the government. At the start of the assembly, it was the Sanjay Rathod case. By the end of it, the Mansukh Hiren case has rocked the assembly once again. In Mumbai with camera person Rajendra Dayalkar, this is Purva Chitnis for NDTV.
And here's what the cop Sachin Vaze, who's at the center of this entire controversy, said when questioned.
तो इसमें क्या एलिगेशन है? गाड़ी अगर मेरे पास थी या नहीं थी तो इसमें एलिगेशन क्या है?
आरोप फेटाळ देगा.
तो आरोप कुठला आहे? गाडी माझ्याकडे असणे हा आरोप आहे का?
नाही, त्यांनी असं एलिगेशन केले आहे की तुम्ही हत्या केली आहे.
बघूया, मी वाचतो.
Well, news now from Assam, and the Bodoland Council polls held 3 months back was seen as a signal to the ensuing state polls, and the BJP had dumped its strong ally, the Bodoland People's Front, and went solo. Now they've run the council in Bodoland with their newfound partner, the UPPL, led by student leader turned politician Pramod Bodo. In an exclusive interview to NDTV's Ratnadeep Chaudhary, Mr. Bodo, who is now the chief of the Bodoland Council as well as one of the key men behind the new Bodoland Accord and BJP's newest ally in Assam, explains why they're going with the BJP.
Now you have come with BJP. What are the reasons why you are part of this alliance?
See, BJP, I mean the NDA, they had some positive opinion towards our problems, towards our issue. And you might be knowing that in 2003, BTC Accord was signed. At the time, there was NDA government. Again, into 2020, 27 January, we signed this BTR Accord. At this time also, the NDA government is, BJP-led NDA government is there. So, this thinking of BJP is very much positive towards this region. And particularly the Bodo community, we are very much happy with the the approach of the government, BJP-led NDA government. So this is our time. I am also one of the signatory of the accord, and some of our friends are there in our party who are all signatories, and we want proper implementation of the BTR accord, because we could gain this peace after the toll of thousands of lives. So we don't want to repeat that kind of situation in our region. We don't have any option. Now we want a sustainable peace in our region, sustainable development in our region, and unity and peace in our region. So in order to ensure this peace and development in our region, we have the best option is become ally with the BJP, and we have to gain their commitment. We have to gain their the blessings to resolve our all issues and prosper our region.
You're saying best option is BJP for peace in borderland, which is important, and this time you are fighting only in 8 seats. That's what the equation is. Previously in 2016, your arch rival BPF was the alliance partner of BJP, and they got far more seats. So is the fact that they have given you this assurance of peace, this accord, that BJP has been able to get more seats from the partner parties like you or AGP, because BJP is contesting more seats this time than in 2016?
See, BPF, they had different agenda in their party and their mind, the leaders. So BPF can do anything, Hagrama can do anything, but we can't, because we want a peaceful society, inclusive society, progressive society. We are accommodating all. This time BJP, they could have contest all our 12 seats, but they are leaving 8 seats, and we can also contest all 12 seats. No matter, nobody can stop us.
Well, let's get to the latest from West Bengal now. And today, Mamata Banerjee will file her nomination for the Nandigram constituency that's turning into the mega battle for the Bengal Assembly. Her former minister and aide, Subhendu Adhikari, was the sitting Trinamool MLA from Nandigram, and he joined the BJP in December and has been deployed against Mamata Banerjee there. Without naming him, Mamata Banerjee in her workers' rally at Nandigram yesterday slammed Adhikari for calling her an outsider, underscoring Trinamool's big campaign slogan that she's Bengal's daughter. She also attacked him for playing the communal card. Well, let's go across now to Monideepa, who joins us from there. And Monideepa, it was quite a rally yesterday. You also got a special mention by Mamata Banerjee during that rally. But tell us about the program today.
Yes, indeed. Extremely kind of her to remember that I was out there in 2007 struggling to get into Nandigram like she was back then. But today is a big day again. And again, a conflict is beginning to be set up. Mamata Banerjee at about 12:30 will once again visit a temple. She visited about 3 yesterday. She will visit a temple at Nandigram, offer her puja, and then take a chopper and come into Haldia, where I am right now, to file her nomination. And to do so, she will actually hold a 1 kilometer long road show, and she will be walking with, you can imagine, a huge crowd of people following her to the site of the nomination for the big battle, which is sort of crystallized into Nandigram, really, the big battle for Bengal. Her nomination filed, she'll probably return to Kolkata, but in the meantime, the conflict is already being set up because half a kilometer from where she is staying in Nandigram today, there is a Nandigram market, and that is where Subhendu Adhikari will come in at about 11 o'clock to inaugurate his election office, and that too will be an extremely crowded event, big for the BJP, and huge crowds are expected there as well. So Subhendu too turning the spotlight and his attention on Nandigram, where he will be filing his nomination on Friday. A mega battle, if you've ever seen one, with elements of outsider being thrown in as well as religion. Mamata Banerjee talked about a 30-70 formula that Subhendu was using, she said, to divide the people of Nandigram, where there is a 30% nearly Muslim population and 70% Hindu. So in a way, Nandigram crystallizing the battle for Bengal, the outsider factor, the minority factor, and of course the history of struggle that Nandigram stands for. Her rally yesterday was quite something. Back to where it all began in a way for Mamata Banerjee, to Nandigram, the battlefield of 2007 that catapulted her to the Chief Minister's chair. In a constituency that has nearly 30% minority vote, Mamata Banerjee took the bull by the horns, challenging the charge of appeasement by reciting the Chandi Path at length.
Om Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadra Kali Kapalini Durga Shiva Chama Dhatri Sahasada Namostute.
Her first stop after the rally was a temple, where she did Chandi Puja as well.
আমিও হিন্দু ঘরের মেয়ে আমার সাথে হিন্দু কার্ড খেলতে যাবেন না আমার সাথে হিন্দু কার্ড খেলতে গেলে আগে বলুন আপনি নিজে ভালো হিন্দু কিনা
Her BJP rival for Nandigram, former ally, now foe, Shubhendu Adhikari has labelled her outsider and asked Nandigram to vote Bhumiputra. Mamata demolished that charge.
তাহলে তো বাংলার আমার মুখ্যমন্ত্রীটা হওয়া উচিত ছিল না বহিরাগত মুখ্যমন্ত্রী হতে পারে কখনো তৃণমূল কংগ্রেস
On the ground, emotional support for Mamata. Some anger at Shubhendu. Anger also at Trinamool workers who betrayed all that Mamata Banerjee stands for.
এখানে এই নন্দীগ্রামের যা অবস্থা সিসি অধিকারীর বংশ যদি উঠে আসে মমতা দিদিকে হারাতে পারে একটা ভোটে হলেও আমরা জিতাবো
কিন্তু দিদিমণি বহিরাগত কিন্তু দিদিমণি এখন জনপ্রিয়তা নেই এখন ভারতের জনপ্রিয়তা আছে এখানে
Mamata has rented 2 rooms in this house in Nandigram's Bottola area for a year. She files her nomination Wednesday, Shubhendu on Friday, and that's when the knives will be out. Mamata making the most of her first mover advantage.
খেলা হবে খেলা হবে দেখা হবে দেখা হবে জেতা হবে জেতা হবে
The Khala Hobe slogan is back. Mamata Banerjee herself raising it at this rally here. The response of the people huge. April 1, that's when the votes will be cast here. A big day for Bengal. In Nandigram with Habib Ali, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Take a look at that special mention that Mamata Banerjee did of NDTV's Monideepa when she mentioned that Monideepa had covered her protest in 2007 in Nandigram.
আমি যখন চণ্ডীপুরে এলাম আমার গাড়ি আবার আটকে দিল চণ্ডীপুরে মা মাসি তুলে গালাগালি দিচ্ছে পেশের যারা ছাড়া ছিলেন এখানে আমি মনিদীপাদের দেখতে পাচ্ছি ওরা সেদিন সকলে সেখানে ছিল ঠিক চণ্ডীপুরের অপোজিটে একটা মাঠ ছিল সেই মাঠে পেশের গাড়িগুলোকে আটকে দেওয়া হয়েছিল তারাও যাতে আসতে না পারে তারপরে একটু একটু করে ঝগড়া করতে করতে তারপরে নন্দীগ্রামে এসে আমি পৌঁছেছিলাম
Well, let's get you news now from Uttar Pradesh. And a court in Muzaffarnagar has accepted a 2017 closure report filed by the UP Special Investigation Team against the controversial BJP MLA Sangeet Som in a case where an inflammatory video was uploaded on social media ahead of the 2013 communal riots that had raged in that particular part of Uttar Pradesh. More than 60 people were killed then and 40,000 were displaced during the riots that has left scars in the region. Now, the original complainant in the case was Inspector Subodh Kumar Singh, who died without being able to make an appearance before the court, and he was killed in the Bulandshahr riots. Let's go across to Alok for more on this. And Alok, it's really curious that the inspector was the actual complainant and the court kept summoning him only to realize that he was dead, and now the case has been closed.
Well, yes, you're right. It is a striking coincidence, Gargi, isn't it? The original case dates back to 2013 when the riots in Western UP's Muzaffarnagar took place. Som and many others were accused of at least sharing or liking, at least if not sharing, a video that led to unrest in the region. The police filed a closure report in the case way back in April 2017. And the court had actually registered that closure report, and in its order, the court or the judge notes that after that they kept on trying to summon the original complainant in the case, which was the then sub-inspector and inspector at the time he died, Subodh Kumar Singh. And then finally somebody appeared and told the court that Subodh Kumar Singh had died in a case in the neighboring Bulandshahr district, and that is why he obviously could not appear before court. And that's when the court said that, look, the original complainant's statement is not available, and the police have already said that they have not found any evidence against Som or anyone else, and that's why they are closing the case. So this order has come in 2021. I think it's important to just take 30 seconds and also dwell upon who Inspector Subodh Kumar Singh was. Now, Inspector Singh, if you remember, Gargi, in 2018, was shot dead in cold blood during the time when he was trying to calm an area where communal tensions had flared up over some rumors of cow slaughter and or cattle slaughter. And at that point of time, Inspector Singh had been chased by a mob and he had been shot in the head. And there were also reports that somebody had used an axe to chop off his fingers. So it was a brutal crime. And Inspector Singh had died at that point of time in 2018. And like I said, a coincidence that he was the complainant in this case. The court obviously has made note of that, the fact that he was the complainant and he died, and that's why the case has been closed.
All right, Alok, thanks so much for joining us with those details. With that, time for us to slip into a short break. Coming up on the other side, a no confidence motion will be introduced in the Haryana Assembly today. We'll get you the details. Welcome back. News from Haryana now, with the Congress no confidence motion against the BJP-JJP government set to be taken up in the Assembly today. The ruling BJP-JJP as well as the main opposition party have issued whips to their respective members for their compulsory presence in the House. Let's go across to NDTV's Ghazali for more on this. And Ghazali, the aim of this no confidence motion is to basically put the coalition on the back foot. Also, Bhupinder Hooda said that this will show who supports the farmers' cause and who doesn't.
Yeah, certainly, because if we go by the numbers, the government is certainly safe because it has to reach or show a strength of 45 MLAs in the House, which has a current strength of 88 members. BJP has 40 members, JJP has 10 MLAs, so certainly they can touch or cross that the majority figure mark. But what it will expose that who stands with the farmers and who doesn't, this is what the Congress claims as the reason to bring this no confidence motion. Because many JJP MLAs and even independent MLAs who are supporting this government have been voicing their concern or extending their support to the farmers while this agitation was going on in Haryana. But we have seen also in the past that how like Akali Dal kept opposing CAA in Punjab, elsewhere, but while during the voting they supported the government. So it is highly expected that here in this case as well, today's no confidence motion, that JJP MLAs, though they have been voicing concerns, they have been facing opposition from the farmers since day one, since this agitation began in Haryana. But yesterday one of the JJP MLAs, while speaking to the media, clearly said that the government or JJP should pull out from the government because we are facing growing anger of farmers. We are not even able to move into our own constituencies. We received phone calls from our voters asking us not to visit. So it's a big embarrassment as well. But he ended up saying that we still will go with the government during this no confidence motion. And this is the report we filed yesterday, that how despite facing opposition from the farmers, maybe the government is safe. But after this no confidence motion, farmers' anger will grow. They will intensify their agitation against the MLAs.
Ahead of the no confidence motion to be moved by the Congress in the Haryana Assembly, the ruling BJP-JJP coalition is facing the heat. After having downplayed the 6 months long farmers' agitation, the MLAs of alliance partner JJP are now speaking up, including a close associate of Deputy Chief Minister Dushyant Chautala.
मैं भी एक किसान के घर में पैदा हुआ हूं, मुझे भी इस बात की पीड़ा है। आज हम जब गांव में निकलते हैं तो फोन आते हैं, भाई साहब गांव में मत आना। हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री से अपील करना चाहूंगा कि यह गंभीर मुद्दा है, बड़े दिल के साथ इसको किसी भी तरीके से निपटाया जाए। ये हमारे प्रदेश और देश के हित में नहीं।
Across the state, Sanyukt Kisan Morcha घेरावed the residences of JJP MLAs and appealed people to force their MLAs to support the no confidence motion.
जे हमारे से खिलाफ वोटिंग करेगा, सरकार को वोटिंग करेगा, तो हमारा नहीं, हम गांवों में नहीं घुसने देंगे।
Haryana Assembly has current strength of 88, with 40 MLAs belonging to the BJP, 10 to its ally JJP and 1 MLA to the Haryana Lok Hit Party. 7 MLAs are independents, with 5 of them, including Power Minister Ranjit Singh Chautala, support the ruling combine. Congress has 30 MLAs. Sensing that its MLAs are in a fix, JJP issued a whip asking the party legislators to ensure that they remain present and vote in favour of government on Wednesday.
So a big day tomorrow for the Haryana government, as Congress will be moving a no confidence motion. But all eyes will be on those MLAs, including some independent MLAs and from JJP, who had voiced their concern in favour of farmers against the farm laws. Will they really walk the talk? In Chandigarh, Mohammad Ghazali for NDTV.
At least 3 members of the ruling alliance JJP had created a flutter by questioning the farm laws, and one of them saying that it was high time that JJP pulled out of the alliance. A JJP MLA, Devinder Babli, who had earlier raised concerns about being boycotted in his constituency, went on to say that his party leaders need to get iron armour and helmets to protect themselves from public anger.
तो हालात ये हो गए कि छोड़ देना चाहिए जी, छोड़ देना चाहिए मेरे हिसाब से जी। अब बैठने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है हमारा, क्योंकि जनता हमारे से नाखुश है, हमें गांव में कुछ नहीं देती। और मैं तो कैमरे के माध्यम से कहना चाहता हूँ, मुख्यमंत्री जी का प्रोग्राम करवा लीजिए जी, मैं मान जाऊंगा जी। डिप्टी सीएम अपने जाके रैली करके उचाने में दिखा दीजिए। मेरा और कोई विधायक है, मैं खुद जी हेलमेट लोहे के और ये गारमेंट अंडर गारमेंट सारे लोहे के बनवाने पड़ेंगे जी, जो जब जाकर खासतौर से JJP के विधायक हम तब बच पाएंगे जी।
That's what a JJP MLA had to say, even though, as Ghazali was telling us, the Haryana government, the coalition government, is safe. With that, time for us to slip into a short break. On the other side, we'll get you an update on the stock market. Welcome back. Let's take a look now at the market opening, and the Sensex expected to open in the green today. There was a rally in US stocks, and Asian stocks are expected to follow. Sensex up 255.55 on opening, up to 51,281. So let's now take a look at the top gainers this morning on opening. The Sensex, they're opening in the green, as you can see, and the top gainers this morning are Eicher Motors, that's trading at 2655, that's up 2.44%. Indiabulls Housing, which is trading at 233.65, up nearly 2%. JSW Steel trading at 405, and there you can see Wipro is trading at 425, up 1.64%. Well, let's now take a look at the banking stocks and see how they're faring this morning. And there we're bringing up the banking stocks. IndusInd Bank up by 2.97%, nearly 3%. Federal Bank is also up trading at 86.25, up 1.23%. And Axis Bank up nearly a point there, trading at 751. SBI is in the green as well. It's up 0.75% at 390. And ICICI Bank up as well, just 0.22%. Well, let's take a look now at the IT stocks and how they're faring, and the top gainers this morning. As you can see, HOV Services trading at 42.15, up 9.91%. Genesis International Corporation also up, trading at 114.55. L&T Infotech at 4,022, up 3.1%, and Zensar Technologies up as well, trading at 282. Well, let's take a look at the auto sector and how stocks there are faring. And the top gainers in the auto sector, Eicher Motors, which is up 2.56%, trading at 2658.25. TVS Motor as well, trading at 612, that's up 2.3%. And Motherson Sumi at 220, up another 2% there. And the other gainers, Exide Industries at 205, it's up 1.53%, and Balakrishna Industries up by 1.25%. And let's take a look at the oil and gas gainers. In the oil and gas sector, the top gainers, Oil India is trading at 130.40, that's up 0.73%. Reliance Industries is up 0.45%, trading at 2200. and Petronet LNG up 0.40%, trading at 252. And BPCL is also up by just 0.17% there. Reliance Industries up 0.45%, trading at 2200 as well. And let's take a look now at the metal stocks, and JSW Steel at the top there, gaining over a percentage point and trading at 405.45. Nalco is up at 58.40 and SAIL is trading at 71.75. Tata Steel up as well, up by 0.46%, trading at 709.8. Jindal Steel and Power up at 313, and Hind Zinc is up just by 0.32%, trading at 298.8. So there you have it. Sensex opening in the green this morning as expected. Asian markets were expected to follow the US markets. Well, let's now get you the latest news on the vaccine drive. In India has vaccinated 2.4 crore people. Also, the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister has chaired a high-level meeting to review the status and progress of the vaccination drive across states and union territories. Well, let's go across to NDTV Sukirti for more. In Sukirti, it was discussed how to ramp up the vaccination drive in some of the states and union territories where it seemed to be a little slow.
Well, yes, this meeting was held with chief secretaries of all the states, and there were certain things that have been emphasized in this meeting. One is the principal secretary to the PM, Mr. P.K. Mishra. He highlighted that so far the states as well as the central level healthcare workers and other officials had been doing a great job at vaccination, but that pace needs to continue. Also, Cabinet Secretary Mr. Rajiv Gauba emphasized that in looking at how big India's population is, we will have to ramp up the speed of vaccinations. And there were certain key aspects that were discussed, 7 major ones being expanding capacity, widening access, maximizing efficiency, encouraging more registrations, managing the supply and monitoring closely. So most of these mainly focused around how more and more private hospitals have to be added by these states to ensure that there are more centers for vaccination. The entire full capacity of private hospitals has to be utilized for the vaccination purpose. States have to monitor if there are any registration issues being faced by citizens. Those have to be addressed at the earliest. So how more and more people can be added and we can increase the pace further. So far India's record is at more than 20 lakh vaccinations, which was on Monday. So India would look at making that figure even higher, considering we have a goal of about 30 crore vaccinations by July 2021.
All right, Sukirti, thanks so much for joining us with those details. And in 24 hours, India vaccinated 20 lakh people. Now let's get to the latest from Tamil Nadu, where both the DMK and AIADMK are trying to woo housewives in the state, promising them monthly payments. But what do the housewives think about all these poor promises being made in their name? Sam Daniel finds out.
First, it was DMK chief M.K. Stalin who promised a monthly 1,000 rupee payment to housewives if elected.
குடும்ப தலைவிகள் அனைவருக்கும் மாதந்தோறும் 1000 ரூபாய் உரிமை தொகை வழங்கவிருக்கிறோம். ரேஷன் கடைகளில் உணவுப் பொருட்களை பெறும் அனைத்து குடும்பங்களும் இதனால் பயனடையும்.
The chief minister, who raised to 1,500 rupees and offered free 6 LPG cylinders every year as well, claimed it was his party's idea, which got leaked to the DMK.
சமூகத்தில் பொருளாதார சமநிலை ஏற்படுத்தும் விதமாக குடும்பத்திற்கு மாதந்தோறும் 1500 ரூபாய் குடும்ப தலைவிடம் வழங்கப்படும் என்பதை மகிழ்ச்சியுடன் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன்.
அதை ஞாபகம் வைத்துக் கொள்ளுங்கள் என்று சொல்லி
Kamal Hassan too claimed the DMK of lifting his poll promise made several weeks ago.
Allegedly, while you clearly know that they plagiarized it. Right or wrong, an idea is an idea, but at least let them acknowledge they copied it from us.
Many like Pravina, living in a dilapidated place, welcome the idea.
ஒரு டீ வாங்குனா 25 ரூபாய் இருக்குது.
Should it be the government that pays the housewife, or should it be the husband and the adult members of the family who benefit from that labor? That said, is it not a way for the political parties to avoid the real serious issue of job generation? What if all these women were to enter the employment market?
However, some look at these promises differently. Battle in Tamil Nadu. Kamal Hassan trying to break new ground. The ruling AIADMK trying for a third term. And out of power for 10 years, the DMK pushing hard to capture power. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel, Find the TV.
Now, a setback to the AIADMK BJP combined in Tamil Nadu yesterday when actor Vijay Kant's DMDK walked out of the alliance ahead of the state polls. After 3 rounds of discussions, the AIADMK refused to allot the numbers that were sought by them. Well, let's go across now to Sam Daniel for more. And Sam, tell us more about these alliances and permutation combinations. Kamal Hassan as well.
Gargi, just before we go into that, breaking news, TTV Dinakaran's AMMK has just released its first list of candidates for 15 constituencies, and Dinakaran's name does not figure in the first list, but the list has at least 11 former MLAs and 1 former MP. Dinakaran has said he will contest in 2 seats and perhaps his name would come in the second list. But it's going to be a very busy day in Chennai, particularly among all the headquarters of political parties. Beginning with the ruling AIADMK BJP alliance, the alliance is expected to announce their list of seats for each of their allies, particularly for AIADMK and the BJP and the PMK, which have finalized the seat sharing and the identification of the constituencies process. We could expect that in the next 1 hour from the party headquarters. In the DMK camp, again MK Stalin is expected to announce the DMK's first list of candidates as well as the seats allotted to both the DMK and its 11 other allies. In that sense, the DMK has completed the seat sharing process with all the 11 allies, and in a nutshell, the DMK will fight in 174 seats and 60 seats have been allotted for the allies, including 25 for the Congress, 6 each for parties like MDMK, BCK, CPI and CPM. And Dinakaran's party has just released the first list of candidates, and actor-turned-politician Kamal Hassan's MNM2 would release its first list of candidates at 4:30 this evening. There is a buzz that Kamal Hassan could contest from the Alandur constituency, formerly called Parangimalai, from where the iconic AIADMK Chief Minister M.G. Ramachandran had contested at least twice in the past. And his party has forged alliance with 2 other parties. One is the actor Sarath Kumar's All India Samatwa Makkal Katchi and IJK. Both these parties will contest from 40 seats. Lastly, we don't know what's the plan of action of actor-turned-politician DMDK Chief Vijay Kant, who actually quit the AIADMK alliance yesterday. We expect some kind of announcement whether they would fight it alone or will they join hands with other parties, perhaps with Kamal Hassan's MNM or Dinakaran's AMMK.
All right, Sam, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. So fast-paced developments there in Tamil Nadu. Well, let's shift focus now to West Bengal, and the slogan that's become the anthem of this Bengal elections is Khela Hobe, Game On. Now meet the 24-year-old Debangshu Bhattacharya, who came up with the slogan, an engineering student. He's also spokesperson and general secretary of the Trinamool Youth Congress. Interesting fact, he composed it in 20 minutes.
তাহলে 1 এপ্রিল খেলা হবে, খেলা হবে, খেলা হবে।
They say slogans can make or break an election for a political party. For the BJP, Jai Shri Ram is what they've been going with in West Bengal. Trinamool has countered with Khala Hobe, and it seems to be working for the party. But this was a slogan that the writer says was done in just 20 minutes. Devanshu joins me now. देवांशु, आपका जो ये गाना है, जो स्लोगन है खाला होबे, जिसमें इतने हर जगह बजते हैं आजकल, तो डीजे म्यूजिक के साथ भी बजते हैं, 20 मिनट में आपने लिखा, आप बता रहे थे?
हाँ, एक्चुअली ये नॉर्थ बंगाल के दौरे के दौरान लिखा गया है। इसके पहले ममता दी एक बार जो बंगाल में हिट हुआ था 2019 का लोकसभा चुनाव में, वो भी नॉर्थ बंगाल में ही लिखा गया था, तो वो थोड़ा लकी जगह मेरे लिए है। तो उधर भी जाने के बाद जो टीएमसीबी का सपोर्टर्स है, वो लोग ने बोले एक स्लोगन फिर से कर लीजिए। पिछले दिन रात को बोला, अगले दिन का अरेंजमेंट हुआ, तब भी लिखा नहीं था, क्योंकि 2-3 प्रोग्राम में थोड़ा हेक्टिक शेड्यूल था, तो लिखा नहीं हुआ था। तो उसके बाद वो मैदान पर बैठ कर उस कॉलेज के सामने लिखा गया। उसके बाद शूट किया गया। शूट करने के बाद अगले दिन 6 जनवरी को शूट किया, 7 जनवरी को अपलोड किया, और अभी तक तो उसको नियर अबाउट 50 लाख लोग देख चुके हैं, करीब 50 लाख के ऊपर लोग। और
तो मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि आप बता रहे थे जैसे मुझे कि जय श्री राम का एक काउंटर चाहिए था बंगाल में, जय श्री राम का काउंटर ये खाला होबे है?
नहीं, देखिए, पर्सनली मुझे ये लगता था कि एक एपॉलिटिकल ऐसा स्लोगन होना चाहिए जो लोग जब उच्चारण करेंगे वो तो डायरेक्टली टीएमसी या ममता बनर्जी का नाम नहीं ले रहे, लेकिन पब्लिक को ऐसे लगेगा कि देयर इज सम एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ तृणमूल कांग्रेस। तो इस सोच के साथ मैंने बनाया, तो खाला होबे इन सब के साथ फिट हो गया कि, क्योंकि अभी जो शादी का जो प्रोग्राम है उनमें भी बज रहा है, सरस्वती पूजा का जो विसर्जन है उसमें भी ये बज रहा है, और सबसे बड़ी बात है बीजेपी का लोग डर रहे हैं। शुभेंदु अधिकारी से लेकर जो बड़े बड़े लोग, वो स्टेज से एक 25 साल के लड़के को अटैक कर रहा है इसके जो शुभेंदु अधिकारी मान लीजिए दीदी को अटैक करता था, अभिषेक दा के जैसे बड़े लीडर को, अभी 25 साल के एक लड़के को अटैक करता है ये नाम ले लेकर। तो ये जो बौखलाहट है बीजेपी में खाला होबे लेकर, क्योंकि उनको पता चला, वो ये समझ सके कि यूथ जो है बंगाल का वो खाला होबे को लेकर पागल हो चुके हैं। और सिर्फ यूथ नहीं, 8 साल के लड़के से 80 साल के उम्रदार लोग तक सब खाला होबे बोल रहे हैं। मान लीजिए मुझको अगर रास्ते पर कोई लोग देखता है, आइडेंटिफाई कर सकता है, तो मेरे नाम से नहीं पुकारता, भाई खाला होबे। तो ये बीजेपी को कहीं पर डरा रहा है।
जैसे कि जय श्री राम भी कोई पार्टी का कोई हक नहीं हो बन सकता, तो खाला होबे में भी आप बता रहे हैं कि वो बता देता है कौन से पार्टी का स्लोगन है, लेकिन आप नहीं कह सकते कि सिर्फ एक पार्टी।
एब्सोल्युटली, लेकिन डिफरेंस एक ही है। बीजेपी का जो जय श्री राम है, बीजेपी वाला जय श्री राम एक्चुअली विच इज जय श्री नाथुराम, उसमें कहीं पर एक धर्म का कनेक्शन है, कहीं पर एक बांटने वाला है, लेकिन खेल कभी बांटता नहीं, खेल सबको जोड़ता है। क्यों मैंने बताया खाला होबे? बंगाल में 2 सबसे बड़े क्लब है जो आपके दर्शक है उनको पता है, ईस्ट बंगाल, मोहन बागान। मान लीजिए मेरे घर में ही 2,
और बंगाल में फुटबॉल प्रेमी तो है
एकदम, फुटबॉल क्रिकेट सब खेल के लिए बंगाल पागल है। ये लोग लूडो भी खेलते हैं, चेस भी खेलते हैं, क्रिकेट भी खेलते हैं, फुटबॉल भी खेलते हैं। मान लीजिए ईस्ट बंगाल और मोहन बागान का सपोर्टर मेरे ही घर में है, वो जब स्टेडियम में जाएंगे तो एक ईस्ट बंगाल, एक मोहन बागान, एंड आई एम हिज ऑपोजिशन। लेकिन स्टेज जो प्रोग्राम से निकलने के बाद, खेला के बाद, स्टेडियम से निकलने के बाद एक साथ खड़े होकर पानी पूरी खाते हैं हम लोग। तो बीजेपी का जो स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट है वो राजनीति को मारना काटना, वो बोलते हैं अनाथ कर देंगे, वो कहते हैं शमशान भेज देंगे। इससे अगर हम यूथ जो टीएमसी का, वो अगर चाहे कि राजनीति एक खेल की तरह होगा जहां पर एक स्पोर्ट्स का स्पिरिट होगा, तो उससे बीजेपी में इतना बौखलाहट की मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
With that, time for us to slip into a short break. More news on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, a special report. In a society bound by a rigid set of social and cultural norms that dictate the terms and conditions of education, career and marriage, the lack of family support can prove to be a big blow to the mental and physical health of LGBT community. Despite having no support from their families, this is the story of Sindhur and Spurti, who've been living together in Bengaluru for 4 years and are extremely happy.
Regarding the feelings for girls, like maybe when I was in 5th or 6th standard, I knew that maybe I was bit different. But my feelings started like in the very early stages, like when I was 4th or 5th standard. So as soon as I knew that I had feelings for girls.
She came to my house on her birthday and she conveyed her feelings to me.
I didn't come to your house on my birthday. I came one day
before. Okay, that's okay. Okay. She conveyed her feelings on her birthday.
On my birthday.
On your birthday.
Thinking that you will not reject.
I said I rejected her at the first time, stating that I don't know about all these things. This is first time I'm hearing all these. I took a daytime. I thought I should accept her or else I'll miss a big thing in my life. So the next day I called her, I messaged her and I said we should meet, okay to her, and she also accepted. No, I accepted her. Then she got me the ring. From that day we are engaged.
Biggest challenge for both of us is to convince our parents. We tried to convince them. We made all our efforts in all the ways, but they didn't convince till date. See, people think like these are the two subcategories, homosexual, heterosexual and so on. It's nothing like. You have got the same feelings. The basic thing is
just hanging out.
You are in love with the same sex person. Nothing else. So things are pretty much same. People have to understand that.
Thank you.